From the very beginning of the Skinwalker Ranch investigations, there was one detail that refused to fade into background noise. It wasn't the glowing orbs that appeared and vanished without warning, nor the mysterious blob that seemed to detonate a rocket mid-flight. It wasn't even the hovering helicopter that silently patrolled the skies after an experiment. It was a number 1.6 gigahertz radio frequency that kept returning again and again as if it were trying to speak. To most people, a gigahertz signal is nothing special. To scientists, it's an enigma. It is too deliberate, too consistent, and too precisely tied to the strangest moments on the ranch to be dismissed as coincidence. The story of this signal, how it behaves, how it reacts, and how it might connect the dots between deep underground structures, aerial anomalies, and even human physiology, is not just a technical curiosity. It could be the single most compelling evidence that Skinwalker Ranch is not merely haunted by unexplained phenomena, but that it is being observed, monitored, or even communicated with. The first sign that this signal was more than background noise came when ground-penetrating radar GPR was deployed around the Mesa, the rocky formation suspected of hiding an artificial structure beneath its surface. As soon as the system was switched on, the equipment started detecting a signal it had never seen before. The waveforms were distorted, the data scrambled. This wasn't an instrument failure. The radar had been tested earlier that day and worked perfectly. And when the team took the same equipment away from the ranch, the interference vanished. It was as if something beneath the Mesa was actively responding to their attempt to scan it. That same 1.6 gigahertz frequency appeared again during drilling attempts when a crane moved heavy metallic objects above the anomaly, and even when a massive boulder was shifted out of place. Each time the signal appeared peaked and then stopped, sometimes vanishing entirely the moment the activity ceased. The pattern was too deliberate to ignore. If it were random environmental noise, it would fluctuate unpredictably. If it were a local broadcast or satellite bleed, it wouldn't synchronize so precisely with physical activity at one location. The 1.6 gigahertz signal seemed to know when it was being disturbed. The more they observed, the stranger the correlations became. During one operation, as the crane operator prepared to lift a counterweight above the Mesa, the crane's electronics froze. The system, a robust industrial-grade control unit, had never failed like this before. At the same moment, the spectrum analyzer recorded the familiar spike at 1.6 gigahertz. It was as if the act of approaching the anomaly triggered a response that not only produced a radio emission, but also affected nearby electronics. As soon as the crane stopped moving, the signal stopped too. Such synchronicity hinted at something more than passive radiation. It suggested a form of reactive behavior, as though the buried structure or device beneath the Mesa was monitoring its surroundings and reacting to interference. The hypothesis that emerged was bold but increasingly plausible. The 1.6 gigahertz signal might not be noise at all. It might be a communication channel, a transmission from something beneath the Mesa or within the anomalous zone above the triangle. If that were the case, the question then shifted from what is producing this signal to who or what is it trying to talk to. Radio astronomers have spent decades searching the cosmos for precisely this kind of signature. The most famous example is the WOW signal, detected in 1977 by Jerry Eman at Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Telescope, a 72-second burst near 1,420 megahertz, the hydrogen line considered a prime candidate for interstellar communication. It was never repeated, but its characteristics narrowband non-terrestrial, and sudden made it one of the best pieces of evidence for possible extraterrestrial contact. The 1.6 gigahertz anomaly at Skinwalker Ranch shares some of those features. It is narrow-focused and seemingly artificial. It appears under specific conditions and vanishes when the experiment ends. And most intriguingly, it seems to originate not from deep space, but from somewhere within or just above the ranch itself. This connection is more than poetic. SETI researchers often argue that intelligent civilizations might choose frequencies near natural spectral lines like hydrogen because they are universal signposts, places where intelligent observers would know to look. The 1.6 gigahertz range sits near L-band frequencies used in deep space communication and navigation systems, frequencies carefully chosen for their ability to penetrate atmospheric interference and travel long distances without scattering. NASA's Deep Space Network DSN, which communicates with probes beyond the solar system, operates near these frequencies for precisely that reason. If someone or something wanted to build a hidden communication, link 1.6 gigahertz would be an ideal choice. But perhaps the most compelling evidence that this signal might represent some kind of communication or control system is its relationship with other phenomena. During several experiments, the appearance of the 1.6 gigahertz signal coincided with severe disruptions to GPS systems, causing location data to drift or report impossible maneuvers. During a helicopter survey above the ranch, the onboard GPS showed the aircraft performing vertical loops and lateral deviations that the pilot never executed, a kind of spatial distortion that cannot be explained by software glitches alone. Even more disturbingly, these anomalies often occurred at the exact same time that physiological effects were reported by crew members. Thomas Winterton, for instance, suddenly developed sharp head and neck pain during a test, prompting his immediate evacuation from the ranch. This was not the first time such symptoms had appeared in tandem with 1.6 gigahertz spikes. In previous years, similar signals had been detected during digging operations that preceded sudden illnesses, including an incident where Winterton suffered a serious head injury with no clear mechanical cause. How could a radio signal affect human biology? The answer may lie in the physics of electromagnetic resonance. Certain frequencies can interact with biological tissues in subtle ways, altering calcium ion channels, triggering stress responses, or even inducing mild disorientation. Military research into directed energy systems has demonstrated that focused microwaves can produce sensations of heat or pressure without any physical contact. If the 1.6 gigahertz emission is part of a broader electromagnetic environment, one that is perhaps stronger, more structured, or more complex than terrestrial technology, then its effects might extend beyond communication into active interaction with matter and life itself. It may be not only a signal, but also a tool. To understand how extraordinary this possibility is, consider another class of mysterious phenomena, fast radio bursts, FRBs. These ultra-powerful, millisecond-long pulses of radio energy, first discovered in 2007, originate from billions of light years away. Their source is still unknown, but their behavior, sudden, high intensity, and often repetitive, has led some scientists to speculate that they could be artificial. The 1.6 gigahertz signature on Skinwalker Ranch is far weaker and localized, but the parallel is striking. In both cases, we see structured, transient bursts of radio energy appearing in connection with unknown phenomena, and in both cases conventional. Astrophysics cannot fully explain them. There's another layer to the mystery. The signal seems to be spatially anchored. It is strongest when measured above specific points, particularly the triangle and the mesa. This suggests that the emitter is not moving or drifting, but fixed, possibly embedded deep underground or locked in a stable position within the anomalous field above the ranch. If the mesa does conceal an artificial structure, perhaps even a buried craft or facility, the signal could be part of its communication array, either transmitting data outward or receiving commands from elsewhere. Alternatively, if the anomaly above the triangle is some kind of portal or field interface, a possibility that some physicists speculate could require immense amounts of energy to sustain the 1.6 gigahertz signal might represent the byproduct of that process, like the hum of a machine operating beyond human perception. The behavioral patterns surrounding the signal add another layer of intrigue. On multiple occasions, its detection was followed almost immediately by the arrival of unmarked, non-transponding helicopters, aircraft likely equipped with advanced surveillance tools. These visits were too coincidental to dismiss. They occurred within minutes of anomalous events and often involved aircraft that hovered directly over the experiment site, ignoring standard aviation protocols. It is possible that these flights are unrelated, perhaps curious law enforcement or private contractors responding to rocket launches. But there is another possibility that they are monitoring the signal too. If agencies or private organizations are aware of the 1.6 gigahertz emission and understand its significance, they might be actively studying it or even attempting to communicate with whatever produces it. What if the signal is not meant for us at all? What if the activity on the ranch drilling, scanning, rocket launches merely activates a system that is designed to communicate with something else entirely? If the buried structure beneath the Mesa is a remnant of an ancient technology. It might be functioning autonomously, transmitting periodic status updates to a network we cannot detect. Or, if it is a more contemporary installation, it could be part of a secure, clandestine communication system operating on a frequency band chosen for its obscurity and resilience. Either scenario is equally unsettling. Either we are poking at a piece of alien technology that is still active, or we have stumbled onto a secret that powerful interests have gone to great lengths to hide. Even more tantalizing is the possibility that the 1.6 gigahertz signal is a kind of handshake, a beacon, designed to initiate contact. In interstellar communication theory, a handshake is a simple, repeated pattern that signals intelligence and invites a response. If the anomaly beneath the mesa or above the triangle is some form of gateway, a wormhole, as some have speculated, then a narrowband emission could serve as a beacon, a synchronization, pulse, or even a key that opens or stabilizes the pulse. Portal. The oscillation observed from 35 megahertz up to 1.6 gigahertz recorded in 2019 supports this idea. Such a broadband sweep requires massive energy orders of magnitude beyond natural geological processes. It is precisely the kind of energy signature some physicists theorize would be associated with space-time manipulation. There's a poetic irony to all this. For decades, humans have scanned the skies for signs of intelligent life, listening for whispers from the stars. But what if the signal we've been waiting for isn't coming from billions of miles away, but from beneath our feet? What if the cosmos has already spoken quietly, deliberately, in the one place we least expected to find it? The one. 6 gigahertz anomaly is not proof of extraterrestrial intelligence, but it is a persistent, intelligent-seeming feature of a landscape that defies conventional explanation. It behaves like a communication signal, responds like a communication signal, and most unsettling of all, it feels like a communication signal. The question now is no longer whether something is transmitting. It is what and to whom. If the signal is part of a technological system buried beneath the mesa, then we may be standing atop an artifact of unimaginable significance. If it is the byproduct of a field interface, a bridge between dimensions or realities, then we may be closer than ever to understanding the mechanics of the unknown. And if it is, as some fear, a beacon calling to something far beyond our world, then Skinwalker Ranch may be more than a hotspot of paranormal activity. It may be a node in a network, a station on a map that stretches across the stars. One thing is certain, the 1.6 gigahertz signal is not going away. It will appear again the next time the ground is disturbed, the next time a crane swings overhead, the next time a rocket pierces the sky. And when it does, it will continue to whisper its secret, a message encoded not in words, but in waves, humming from beneath the earth and above the air, a transmission from a mystery that is still unfolding.